Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a Q&A as like a little birthday celebration situation thing. I just wanted to make a relatively low maintenance video that's going to require minimal editing and to also like get to know you guys better and have you get to know me better. Even though I've basically been on a break already, so I don't necessarily need any more like low maintenance content because you can't get any more low maintenance than none. But to explain that, what had happened is I initially pulled back a little bit because of my other business, which is creating like written content for people. So my workload there increased. And then my mom came to visit, which was a planned thing, but she was initially only supposed to stay like a few days. And then she ended up staying from like June 8th to June 24th, yesterday. So basically while she was here, I was just way too many people in my house and us in my house like all day that like doing this I could have probably gotten more done. I did end up doing like one video while she was here, but it would have been too much to try to do that, especially because while she was here, she helped us redo our front porch and built a deck and everything. The front porch that was there came with the house, but this house was like a bank property, so I'm not even sure they hired like a real like contractor to do any of the work. Because I have like trim, you could kind of see it there, we painted over it, just nailed up in weird spots. The posts for our front porch were about 4 inches into the ground. No concrete in sight whatsoever. The steps were at different levels. So like the whole thing was not great, and I used to trip coming in all the time because like the stairs were at different levels. So we tore all that down, and she helped us build like an actual porch that fits more than one person at a time. I've got 2 chairs and like a little table out there now, and stairs that are like actually functional. So that was cool, but that did take time away from doing YouTube. But I'm back, and I'm planning on going back to the like twice a week content for now. I did realize that while my workload is so heavy, it's probably best not to commit to certain days of the week, but the goal is going to be aiming for 2 videos a week. And I need a new washer, if you can hear that. So I'm going to ignore that. Hopefully that's not way too loud. And you guys just ignore that too. So today's Q&A, I've collected questions that I've gotten over the course of my doing YouTube the past few months. And then I took the recommendation from somebody to do the 23 Non Yarny Things About Me tag that was popular like a year ago. It's fine to be late to the party, you know? So I'm gonna do the questions and then the like 23 non-yarny things about me. So the first question is, how do you buy your yarn? Typically I online shop for yarn because the closest yarn store that's actually like a yarn store is about 30 minutes away, and then they just like get further away from there. Not including Walmart. I do have 2 Walmarts on like 2 different towns that I don't technically live in that are about 20 minutes away. But the Walmart selection is pretty trash. So, yeah. If I want to go to like Joann's, Michael's, or Hobby Lobby, you're talking about 30 minutes or more to get there. So that's why primarily I shop online. And of course I use Lovecrafts, I use Amazon, I use Premier Yarns. Yes. So that's how and where I buy my yarn. The next question is how to price items. I will link a video up here. I pretty much went over that in detail, but the short version is I take into account my time, of course. So I'm getting paid for the work I'm doing, but then I also adjust the price accordingly based on the size of the item, because sometimes smaller things can take a little bit longer than bigger things, which I feel like can be explained to the customer, but also like perceived value is a thing. So I do move things around a little bit based on their size. If I took 2 hours making something this big, even though it took me 2 hours, I might put it with something that took me like an hour and a half, as opposed to, you know, my other 2-hour items are like this big. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? If not, I explained in that video, and I think it's pretty clear, but y'all let me know if it was not clear enough and I could try to go into more detail. The next question is, if you sell at one place and go back, do you take more of the things you sold last time, or do you just take an assortment with no exception? And I also kind of answered that question in that same video, but typically I do a little bit of both. I, first and foremost, will always make the things that I feel like making. So even if something sold well last time, like an example was a possum I made, was heavily complimented at one of my events. So I thought, well, gee, I'll make this for the next one. But then in between events, I just really didn't have the time nor like the drive to make that pattern for that instance. So I just did not. It probably would have sold well because even though obviously only one person could buy the one item, it was complimented by like half the people that came into my booth. So it probably would have sold well. I just didn't feel like making it. But in general, I do try to take like core items each time. Mini octos go real well. Bees go real well. What else? Dinosaurs. So that kind of thing I do try to take everywhere. But at the end of the day, if I don't want to make it, I'm not going to force myself to make it. I already kind of do that because I do a lot of custom orders through Etsy. So here's a good example. I got a custom order at my last craft fair. Well, she actually ordered like a day or two after, but she mentioned ordering for me at the craft fair. And her granddaughter's having twins, and so she wants me to make 2 stuffed cats. And they're cute, but obviously there's not really a time that I would make a custom order, like a big-ish size custom order twice. That's like doesn't sound that fun. But obviously because she's paid for it, I am going to in fact make the same pattern twice, even though it's a larger pattern for the custom order. So, I already do work I don't always, love with my custom orders. So when I'm doing events, I just prefer to, make what I want. And that's not to say that all my custom orders are like, tedious and I don't want to make them. In fact, I've made some things that I would have like never picked for myself to make that I've like enjoyed making a lot. One of them being the Titanic. That was cool. I guess socially relevant now, unfortunately. But let's move on because that's a dark topic. The next question is, have you tried hand dyeing yarns? If not, do you plan to try? Because I primarily do amigurumi, I have not tried hand dyeing my own yarn. There's not really a huge use for it doing amigurumi, but I would like to try, but I'm also intimidated by like fancier, classier yarns. About as fancy as I get is like cotton and merino wool, and not even like fancy like merino wool. So I just, as like a non-clothes making person, I don't know, man. I would do it, but I also feel like I would mess it up, and that's like stressful to me. The next question is, tell me about the philosophy behind the dress. I'll link the video where I mention it here, but the dress this person was talking about is my wool and dress. So I'm not wearing it right now because these are my painting clothes, as you could see. I was painting our like porch deck situation. I have been wearing the dress more. Again, I in fact basically just got done wearing it for the last week. Only I did not take pictures. So it's kind of like I wasn't wearing it even though I was. So I am still planning to do the challenge. I just have to like get out of my own way to do it. But it's definitely like on the list. I think it's an important lesson basically. I used to, in fact, I just came across my own Facebook post about packing my clothes to move, and I had 3 suitcases of clothes and like 11 jackets. This is when I lived up north, so owning jackets like served a purpose. But who needs 11 jackets? I have one body. What am I going to do with 11 jackets? Store them in my closet is what? Take up space, not give them to somebody who like could use them. So that's basically the philosophy around the dress. It's supposed to like teach you that your clothes should not define you. People have like I think the term for it is like spotlight syndrome. If you wear the same thing every day, you think people are going to notice, but in all actuality, like the only one who's like caring about your clothes and what you're wearing is pretty much yourself. Uh, Most people who like report back after wearing the dress say things like, "Wow, it took like 2 weeks for anybody to notice that I had been wearing the same outfit like every single day." Um, so to like help separate yourself from your clothing, that's one of the lessons. Another lesson is the one that I'm struggling with because I already have a minimal wardrobe. I have they're not even full outfits. I just have like a few black tops, a few black pants, and a few black shorts mostly. And then I've got like this is my one like get dirty, do outside work outfit, and then I've got like a pair of pajamas and like a workout outfit. But at last count, there was like 87 or 89 pieces of clothing, and that was down to individual socks. I just felt like counting after I like downsized. I think it's grown a little bit because I don't think when I made that count I even had the dress yet. But I am minimal, especially compared to other people and myself, how I used to be. So I thought, silly me, that when I got the dress, I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy breezy. I basically wear the same thing every day. But there's a huge difference between wearing an outfit that looks the same and wearing literally the same clothes every day. And I realized that my like laziness and accountability don't run the same. My laziness runs real deep and my accountability does not. It's pretty shallow. So when I like get something on the dress, which happens a lot because I'm messy and I've got children, I'll just take it off and go put it in the laundry. And then do I retrieve it? Nope. That's what ended my like last run. Or if I am doing what I'm supposed to be with the dress and I wear it and I wash it and I put it back on, I'm not even taking the pictures for the challenge. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's about wearing the dress, not necessarily documenting it, but there is like a benefit to be gained from documenting it because if you do it for 30 days, they'll give you like a $30 gift card for their store. And if you wear it for 100 days, they'll give you like a $100 gift card for their store, which some things are cheaper than $100. So I don't know how that would work if you'd still pay shipping, but you could basically get really nice wool clothing cheaply if you actually do the challenge and like succeed and document it. So, you know, that's kind of like the philosophy behind it is to like use less and like not have your clothes define you and help the environment because you're using less water and less energy to like wash all your clothing. And for yourself, you're using less time because, you know, when your one dress comes out of the laundry, it's super fast to either put it away or put it back on. Um, I just need to commit more to doing the challenge. But I will get there. It's definitely still on the list and I'm getting like closer. I just, like I said, need to get out of my own way. Um, and I'm sure there's somebody else who could have like explained the philosophy behind it like more eloquently. But like if I think if you do it, you'll get it. And like I get it, but I'm not good at doing it, you know? Sometimes I guess I'm not practicing what I preach as well as I should be, but I'm going to do it. Pinky promise, I'm going to do it. Um the next question said I crochet all this stuff and then have imposter syndrome and can't sell anything because it's not good enough. How do you get past that? Um which I feel like ties into the dress because like I feel like I'm sitting here preaching like sustainability and whatnot, but then I have like a whole bunch of not sustainable yarn behind me and decorations that I didn't need to buy. And that's not even real wood. So, you know, I get the imposter syndrome thing. And especially with YouTube because I'm like pretty close to being monetized at this point, and I do for the most part put up like regular content. So like I guess I would like qualify myself as like a YouTuber, but that's just like so weird to say. Um so I'll tell you what I do. Um and I did have this a little bit in the beginning with my crochet too. I would make something and then I would like really deeply hate it. In fact, I made this bunny from like a free pattern on Ribbler and like the bunny I made did not look anything like the pattern picture, and I wondered if like the pattern was like not the same as the picture because that happens sometimes. But at the end of the day, I really did not like how it turned out, and I like posted about it on my Facebook, and I think if we're Facebook friends, you could probably go back if you want to dig through and like see that I like really hated on this bunny. And I got a lot of compliments on it. And the first event I took it to, it sold. So it basically was just me. Everybody else thought it was fine. Um, so basically, what I do is like you fake it till you make it. You fake it till you make it. Um, I took that to the event, even though I didn't like it. I put the price on it that I would have, even if I did like it, to account for like the time and the materials. And it did, in fact, sell. So, had I not just gone with it anyway, I would have missed out on the 40 bucks that I like made selling that. And as far as YouTube, I like doing it. For the most part, you guys seem to like watching it. So, I'm just like still here doing this. Is it weird sometimes? Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently sitting in my house alone, recording this, talking to myself. That's a little bit weird. Um, and then I've also had like weird comments from people, which is also weird, but you know, that kind of comes with the territory, I guess, of being a YouTuber. But it's still weird. But yeah, if you guys have like better, more eloquent advice for this person, please share it because A, I'm interested, and B, I'm sure like there's got to be something out there better than just like do it anyway. But that's what I've got for you. Just do it anyway. You only live once, so, you know, someone's going to appreciate it. I do find that people who don't crochet don't know what to look for as like flaws in crochet. So you might notice that you like sewed the nose on something like kind of crooked, which used to be like a thing that I did like all the time. But the person who's like looking at it doesn't even notice that. So, you know, just do it anyway. The next question is, how do you plan your projects? I don't. Kind of. Mostly I don't. Um, in fact, I just made 5 of these chickens. I think they're super cute, but these came I had been scrolling through Etsy and just stumbled upon this pattern. I'm not even sure like what it is that like made this pattern come up, but I like decided I really liked it and I made 5 of them. And then it was funny because like right after I made these, I noticed that Cameron, I think it was in her video, she had made them too, or at least something that looks like these. Um, but yeah, I had been working on an order and doing a writing job, and like I got like tired of my own work briefly, so I just like perused Etsy and had seen that pattern and had saved it, so I like bought it then and there to like make them. And that's how I end up making some of the stuff that I make for markets. I just decided I need a break and want to make the thing, so I make the thing. Um, but as far as like planning things in advance, I don't really do that. I tried to make a temperature blanket and I got about halfway through January and like that project is just rotting in my closet now. And then I end up getting a decent but slowish stream of like custom orders that come in that kind of keep me busy. So I don't necessarily even have time for projects. Those chickens were pretty quick makes. Um, and then in between orders and things, if I finish one day and I don't want to start the next order immediately, I've got like my market list that I go back to and I like pick a random number and work on that. I do have like a to make list for gifts for people. Like I'm still working on the mother-in-law's gift for her birthday in May. And one of my spouse's cousin's kids. So what is that? His second cousin? I don't know. She just had a birthday, and I think she turned 4, 5, 4. I don't know. She's young. And I'm planning on making something for her, but I have not even picked her thing that I'm making. She's into dinosaurs or princesses, so I'm going to do something with that and maybe something combined with that. I'm not sure. So that's about as far as I get. I'm kind of impulsive, so like planning's not, well, that's not true because like I plan my market prep because I have a whole list and I like work off of a list. I've got planning but also ADHD. So those things kind of butt heads a little bit, you know? Um yeah, that was probably an unsatisfying answer. The next question is, what's your biggest craft show pet peeve? It would be people who come in and like criticize work, which I've heard other people talk about. Thankfully for me, I have had pretty much like entirely positive experiences at craft shows as far as like other customers like coming into my booth and whatnot. I've never had anybody come in and be like, "Oh, I can make this." Um, oh, I guess there was like a child who told her friend basically not to buy my stuff because it was overpriced, and she was like, "Do you really want to spend all your money in one spot?" But also, devil's advocate, she was like a young girl, and that is probably good advice. You probably, especially before looking at the other shops, shouldn't drop all your money in one place. But yeah, I guess I don't really have one. But if I did, it would be like people coming in and just being like, I can make that. Well, really? Why don't you? Because you should. Yep. Oh, I've got one. Not customer related. Wind? Is that a pet peeve? Because if it is, that's mine. I cannot stand the frickin' wind. The wind like drives me actually insane at craft fairs. And then having to like peel all the like double-sided tape and like regular tape off of my items and like displays afterward to like that I use to like combat the wind. Yeah, I hate that. Uh, so that's my answer, I guess. What's your favorite project ever? What's your favorite ever crochet project? Um, I guess it changes, you know, because I really like those chickens. They're cool. That possum I made was pretty dope. Um, Oh, I make this giraffe pattern. Not that. That's like my son's heartbeat bear. But I do have a giraffe pattern that I make. That's not my own pattern. It's somebody else's pattern. But I sell the finished product on my Etsy if you want to like go check that out. So you see what I'm talking about. That one's really cute. It's horrendous to make. That's why it's priced pretty high because you got to sew on both ears, you got to sew on both horns. Those there are 7 spots on the giraffe. The arms are sewn on, the legs are sewn on, the tail is sewn on, the like snoot is sewn on. So yeah, there's so much sewing with that pattern, but it comes out super cute every time. So I really like that one. But yeah, I guess it just changes. It's whatever I've recently made typically, unless it's a custom order, because I tend to be the hardest on myself with those because a lot of times at best I can take a pattern and modify it to work for the custom order. At worst, I'm having to like create this thing like on the fly and there is no pattern for it. So a lot of times when I'm making something, I'm like, wow, this looks stupid. um, but I've gotten like the most good reviews on my Etsy for my custom orders, a lot of which I've completely like freehanded. So I guess those are like not as bad as I think they are. But yeah, so it's typically whatever I've just recently made. And just there's so many good designers that make like really cute things, like pattern wise, that I can then make like myself. So the credit really goes to them. What started you on your crochet journey initially? So initially, way back when, like most people, I feel like, my grandma taught me to crochet, and I could crochet the heck out of a chain. And then when I was in my early 20s, I got the whim one day that I was going to crochet, and I crocheted a scarf. But at that time, I couldn't make like a rectangle at all. And I did not know how to do like color changes. And YouTube was obviously a thing then, so I don't know why I didn't try harder to look it up. But if you held up the scarf, it was like, and it was a Gryffindor scarf. So I had like red, gold, red, gold, red, gold, like all the way down. Um, but yeah, my like stitch count for each row was not the same. They were just kind of like whip stitched together instead of like color changed. And if you held it up, you could see how bad it is, but it was a scarf. So like it was just like worn. And I got a picture of my daughter wearing it when she was like 4 or 5. Um, and then after doing that, I didn't touch crochet again until November 2022. Um, so this story is a little bit dark. What had happened is my little sister got into her friend was driving, but they got into a car accident, and it was fatal for my sister and her fiance who were in the car, and not for the other two passengers. But I ended up after that having to go up north to help my mom. They live in Missouri, pack up my sister's things. And my mom happened to have some of her mom's stuff in her house, my mom's house, that my daughter was going through. Because earlier that same year, my grandma had gotten like her health declined and she had stayed with my mom for the last few weeks of her life. And so her stuff was in the house and it was like crochet stuff and knitting stuff. And my daughter took an interest in it. Um, and she brought some of that stuff home and she was working on it on the couch one day. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're doing that wrong. It's been like a hot minute, but like, let me sit down and see if I can like do it and then I'll show you. So I pretty much picked it back up from then. Uh, and like got way further, way faster than I did all the other times that I've like tried, which was like as a child and then to make that scarf. Yeah, and it was just kind of like right time, right place, terrible reason, and here we are. Because that led into the next question. What factor prompted you to start off with a crochet YouTube channel? I have no idea like why I was so compelled because I had always wanted to do YouTube. Like I don't know, in the way like kids want to be like, I want to be a movie star one day. Like it was the goal that you like know will never happen. But like you still think, well, that'd be cool to do one day. That's how I felt about YouTube. But when I got into crochet again and like picked it up and was doing well, and then I couldn't find like the videos that I like needed, like how to price things and how to like find craft fairs and all the things. Um, I just started making content based around that. And now I've done, I don't know, I got into it real hard, real fast. So now I've done like, it feels like a lot of shows and I've sold like a lot of things. And my Etsy, that's crochet based now, is going pretty well. So here I am, and I'm not sure how or why, but you know. Um, and then the final question that was like subscribers submitted is crochet an energizing activity for you? Yes and no. It depends on what I'm making. Um, Certain things, obviously, you got to do the rounds multiple times, and like that can be like really relaxing. So it can definitely be like a nice like let's do this for before bed kind of thing. But it's also like reading for me. Like if I get to like a good part and like I'm really enjoying what I'm making, sometimes I'll sit down to crochet and it'll be like 9 p.m. and then I'll look up again and it'll be like midnight and I'm like, holy crap, what just happened? So it can be like a little bit of both. It depends on like how deep, I get into it and what I'm working on. And now let's start the 23 non-yarny things about me. And these are all like favorites, like a list of like my favorite things, and other people's favorite things. And I will tag one of my like crochet subscribers. And I'm sure like this tag's not going to go super far, but you know, if they want to do this video too, I think that'd be cool. So, what is my favorite color? I've answered this before. It is yellow. If you could not tell, I just think it's a fun, happy, bright color, but it also can be kind of like warm and soothing too at the same time, depending on the shade. Uh, Favorite genre of music? I listen to a lot of different kind of music, so it's hard to pick. I like rock music, but I also deeply enjoy Taylor Swift and like music from musicals. Like I can do like the entire Rent soundtrack. Not well, but so it's a mix of things. Um, Favorite food? That one's easy. I really like nachos and sushi and like bread related things. Like even regular bread or like croissants or like French bread, like dipped in oil. Bread's really good. Favorite soda? I enjoy the chemical laden diet soda. Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Coke, Diet Root Beer, Diet Pepsi, all diet things. If this counts, sugar-free Red Bull. I have an issue with like blood sugar, so if I do diet or if I do drink soda or like energy drinks, I always do diet. And no, I don't think it's healthier, but I don't have the same like blood sugar spike that makes me really freaking sick. If I drink the like sugar-free alternative. But I'm also pretty sure the artificial sweeteners in a lot of diet drinks are like known carcinogens. So do with that what you will. Um, as you could see, I have a problem because I've got an open diet soda and an open Red Bull right here, but I have a caffeine addiction. I'm working on it, even though it does not look like it. Favorite animal. My favorite animal is an otter. That's why I also really like the hairy otter that I made, which is a reference to Harry Potter. I think otters are cute, and I call them little water kitties because they look like little water kitties. Favorite holiday. That is tough. I really like Halloween, though as I get older and I have to buy costumes for 3 people, my too much gene kind of takes over, and Halloween becomes horrendously expensive, especially because I really like grouped themed costumes. I'll have to get some water. Yes, I really like group theme costumes. Now, my oldest, who's now 11, she no longer likes most of the time to participate with what I want to do, but my other younger kids are like too young to say no. So usually it'll be me, the other adult, and my youngest as like one thing, and then she's on her own. Though I have in the past made her one thing, and then my son a group with her, and then my spouse and I a group separate. Like last year, she was Cruella de Vil. My son was like one of the 101 Dalmatians. And then separately, I was Professor McGonagall, and Zach was, what's his name? Sirius Black. So, oh, and the baby, because he was born, I forgot. He was like little baby Harry Potter. But I also like family time. So Thanksgiving's pretty cool. And I really like food. But I also like Christmas too, because that's also family related. But I've got 3 kids, and one of them has a December birthday, so that's also horrendously expensive, which can make it a little more stressful than it is enjoyable at times. So yeah, but basically the fall holidays, if we can group them together. Are we allowed to do that? I guess it's my video, so I'm going to do that. The next question is favorite book. I don't think I have one, but I deeply enjoy like fantasy-based books. So let's see. Obviously, Harry Potter's like a clear choice. I've read all of the Divergent series, and what's the one? Catching Fire. Hunger Games. Goodness. Yeah. I know I just turned 29, but as you could see, that like young adult fantasy section for that's meant for like teens, I like never really grew out of that. So a lot of times those tend to be like my go-to like fiction books. But I also really like self-help books. I've got Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover next to me. I've got a whole host of like parenting books, like Raising Critical Thinkers and other books that I can't think of off the top of my head over on my like bookshelf over there. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I read when I can, and I don't really have a favorite, I guess, because I don't read enough anymore. Favorite pizza topping? Probably pepperoni, and I know that's like boring, but I don't know, bacon's a good one too. Extra cheese. Classic things. Favorite pastime? Crochet, scrolling YouTube. That's always fun. Um, Reading here and there. I don't get a lot of time because of the kids. I used to like to write, and now I do it for a job. So, but like back in the day, writing was always kind of fun too. But I would do more like journaling type writing than like fiction writing. Favorite TV series of all time? Probably Gilmore Girls. Well, I mean, definitely Gilmore Girls. And then like the other like top ones that are pretty high up there too are like Friends, Charmed, which I'm rewatching now, Buffy, Angel. As you can see, that's a lot of like fantasy stuff too. Um, so yeah, those are cool. Those are cool. Favorite fruit? Probably blueberries. I keep blueberries and strawberries and bananas in my house at like all times because that's what the kids and I like to eat. And I'll put the blueberries in yogurt for a snack like every day. Favorite vegetable? Brussels sprouts. I know that's controversial. Don't come for me. They're really good. If you don't think so, you're probably not making them right because most people that I've seen say they don't like them say they're bitter and they get like that when they're not cooked correctly. So find somebody who knows how to cook them and try them again before you make your final decision. I also really like asparagus too, which I know is also controversial. Favorite subject in school? Mine was history. You would think because of like my career path that it would have been something like um, English, but no, nope. English and I were not bros because, well, I like to read and write. I do not like being told what to read and write. Yeah. And it's funny now because that's kind of my job, but it's fine. Favorite actor or actress? Let's see. I feel like the obvious answer would probably be Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls because I have watched a lot of the things she's in, like Parenthood and what was that, Bad Santa and things like that. But I feel like she's also not in like enough stuff. Uh, Kristen Bell, she's pretty high up there. I of course watched Veronica Mars. That should have gone in the favorite TV show answer also, um, because I liked that back in the day, and I've watched The Good Place and I've watched Frozen and other movies she's been in. She's been in like all those Bad Mom movies, and she was in other things too, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I don't know. I don't really have one, I guess. Oh, Robert Downey Jr. Watched a lot of his stuff too. He's really funny. Dark. Yeah. So I guess that's my half answer. But I don't know. It's hard to have favorites when you're like older because like I don't know. I appreciate like a lot of different people and like their work now. Um yeah. Favorite singer? I don't think I have one. Taylor Swift. Um and before anybody comes for me, I'm not trying to qualify myself as a Swiftie, okay? Y'all can have that title. I just appreciate her music, but no, I don't know her discography backwards and forwards. But I do think she's like a good role model for like young people. And I don't know, she just brings joy. You feel me? Favorite superhero? I'm firmly, and this is going to be controversial too, in the camp of DC. Okay? Don't come for me. Like Batman, like the Green Arrow. Okay? I do like some Marvel superheroes. Iron Man. Gotta love me some Robert Downey Jr. Uh, but I just think DC characters, they're more like not classic superheroes, but like regular human people that like have special powers sometimes, you know? I don't know how to put it, but they're just more relatable characters. Like they have better backstories. Not super realistic, but you know, I just relate to that like underdog vibe that a lot of DC superheroes give. Uh Favorite comedian? Bert Kreischer. If you don't know who that is and you go to look that up, I'm sorry ahead of time. Don't judge me as a person. Also, may he rest in peace, John Panette. He was very funny. Is there anyone else? Oh, Chris Farley, probably. He was very funny. I like a lot of like older things because I was like raised by parents that like did never let me watch like kid stuff. So I just like grew up watching a lot of what they watched and like listening to what they listened to. So like my uh likes tend to stop like right at 2,000, apart from like Taylor Swift, basically. So yeah, stuff is like a little before my time, but I still have an appreciation because that's when stuff was like still good. Like music nowadays, pretty trash. Also, don't come for me. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. It just is. Okay, WAP, why is that ever even on the radio? Ever. Gross. Favorite season? Probably fall. Winter, if you could call it that, here in Florida, when it gets down to a whole 40 degrees. I like when it's cold, so I can like open my windows, and it's not like disgustingly hot. Favorite movie? Pretty much any John Hughes movie. Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink. Not technically John Hughes, but Weird Science is good. It's the same kids. Brat Pack days like Anthony Michael Hall and whatnot. Let me try to pick something from this decade. Twilight. Not technically from this decade, but I stand by that because Twilight was good, and it's like I get that it's bad, but it's comically bad, so it makes it really good, and it's really nostalgic for me because like every night as like a little wee baby child, I would put in Twilight to like fall asleep when I was still in school. So yes, Twilight. It brings me joy forever. Favorite smell. I really like the smell of magnolias. I got a magnolia tree right outside my house. But that's been my favorite smell since I was like a child. I would smell it walking home from school, and it was always just really nice. Favorite best friend? Uh, I'm gonna say 3 people, but if you were not said, don't come for me, okay? Listen, it's said for me to pick my favorite. That doesn't mean I don't love you. But my number 1 is Heaven. Sorry, Kayla. My number 2 is Kayla. It's just because I talk to Heaven more. And then like a newfound best friend is my friend Rebecca, who like got me into this whole like craft fair game. That's where I've learned like all of my stuff from. So I really like her, and we happen to have babies at like the same time. They're like 6 weeks apart. Uh Favorite decade? Probably the 80s. My spouse is back. And we'll finish this out real quick. Favorite YouTube channel? Jenna Marbles, like hands down. If I'm allowed to say that, since her channel basically doesn't exist anymore because she is not posting. But if she were ever to come back, I would still like go back to watching her like I did for freaking 10 years. So super sad she went away, but she's probably like my main inspiration for doing YouTube, even though like our channels are like vastly different. So yeah. Now, if you'd like to see more crochet content, you could check out this video right here, and I will be back later in the week with a video doing a crochet with me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!